人はそんな人間たちを英雄と呼ぶ。
Legends of the Galactic Hero, Movie 1, Extended Title. Madhouse did produce the first 26 episodes of the OVA, the infamous OVA that everyone knows of. And I'm going to be honest here, guys, I don't know a thing about Galactic Heroes. Yeah, it's one of those on the to-do list kind of projects. It's like 111 episodes or something, come on. I'll get to it. So I thought, considering it's Madhouse month, I might have a look at the first movie. It is set before the show. Usually on a project like this, I try and avoid established franchises because, I don't know, going in the middle of it, I don't think I have anything interesting to say half the time, and the other half of the time I have no idea what's going on. But I thought, considering we're at the beginning, let's give it a shot. Let's see if this film can make a fan out of me without getting lost in the amount of characters or lore or whatever else is going on. I mean, the only thing I really know about Galactic Heroes is it's a bit like anime Dune. So the opening crawl gives us this idea that the progress of war is also the progress of man. I guess we're getting our big philosophy caps on today. A lot of us will be talking, hanging out and thinking about the qualms of man. Ooh, that music. Is that like Gustav Holst? Are we getting the planets in here? It seems they're choosing to stick to a classical soundtrack in the sci-fi epic, just like Lucas originally wanted to for Star Wars. But that didn't go too well for him. Although here, I'm saying, what a great choice. Really gives it its own feel. Yeah, I'm feeling that music. Ooh, heavy. So we have some sort of Germanic empire in space, eh? Those who leave a mark on history become branded as heroes, right? But who's a hero only in the eyes of time? Legend of the Galactic Heroes was originally a novel series, 10 novels to be in particular. Yoshiki Tanaka wrote these novels that were adapted into an OVA series that ran for about 9 years. And of course they're being readapted now because I guess people just don't watch old stuff and finding these shows isn't particularly easy unless you have a high dive account, or I guess as I'd like to call it, one of those streaming services of anime that will be dead in a couple years after the streaming boom explodes and flatlines. So the beginning talks here gives you a little intel into the sort of world we're getting ourselves into, where the big men at the top here, they talk about nepotism towards this one character we only hear considered the Admiral of the Skirt, through his position gathered from his sister. They do not like the nepotism on display there, and there seems to be a feeling of a fall of an empire, distrust and political doodads going on here. You know, war and space things, double crosses I'm sure will be a big deal coming up, and the political leanings of each candidate and who they align with is certainly going to come into play. For now we're just setting stuff up, and I'm invested, I'm enjoying this. When we are introduced to the Admiral of the Skirt, Blondie here, he seems to be lamenting the course of war, that hundreds of years of war can be served on such a small item in the middle of the galaxy, thoughtlessly, that he would like the war to end. And of course that's easy to say when you're on the top of a tower, easy to give those sort of platitudes of war when you are at the top, not so easy to say it at the bottom. Although he is an admiral, and perhaps maybe through his mindship, we can end it all in 110 episodes or less. If we can tell anything from the other Admirals Club, it's an elitist group, a boys' club you could say. They're very set in their ways. He's got his work cut out for him. The odds are against him. People want him gone. On the other side of the fence, we can see the down to the earth side of just the troops. Drinking to stay sober in war. Sleeping on the job, keeping it lax. If they live or die is kind of up to the coin. And all I'm enjoying here at least is that they're not particularly painted as good or bad. It's a very leveled field where everyone just seems to be on one side or the other. Regular people. I don't think Legend of Galactic Heroes is the first show to do anything like that, or movie. Gundam did sort of bring a level of humanity to the Sion, but in the end, you know they were still the bad guys, even if there was a little more nuance there. At least here I can feel like I can respect both sides, even if I can't respect the war. From the first battles, we get an elegant space duel. This is going to be a battle of wits, not brawn, and there's going to be more perspective here than you might think. There's magistry in the dance with the spaceships, the choreography. We aren't in the high-flying pulp area, it's slower, contemplative. If Star Wars is the space opera, then this is the opera, and just as long. We are building up two great minds that may start to define the battle onwards. Both young heroes that find war a foolish task. One considered a hero only for the sake of morale. Don't know much about why they're fighting besides the small trivial stuff, but I guess when you've been fighting for so long, that stuff gets pushed to the sidelines and it just becomes about an endless battle for whoever can get the most casualties. Reinhard seems to be a guy that would prefer to escape and keep as many alive as possible, although he is thrown into a situation where he has no choice but to do a more drastic attempt of fighting. We get to start seeing the contrast of class. The lower live as it might be their last, in the town before death, drinking, women, fraternizing, having a good time. And then the higher class, they have a regal time. High-minded games of pool and fancy music and I guess there's still booze and fraternizing and and brawls. Okay, it's exactly the same. This is exactly the same. There's no difference between these two classes of people. I wonder what they're trying to get at. You can tell that there's a visceral band of war being formed, like a family. You have to stick together or you're going to die alone. You know, this is cozy. I could see watching a whole series of this. It's got that level of OVA era shading, characters sort of talking about life and stuff and war, philosophy. You know, that old man stuff. I don't imagine I could have watched this when I was younger, but now I'm an old man. And this is the kind of old man show I want to watch, you know? It's a bit like Star Trek. I just want to sit down and listen to people talk about Star Trek and, they're talking in their ships and they're shooting laser beams occasionally, but it's all about what's happening up here in the brain. You need a level of high intellect to watch this stuff. Well, not really, I'm sure. These are slow burn battles, but you know what they say about slow and burn? They burn twice as long. Hear that music? Do you hear that music? That is Maurice Ravel as the fight music. What a power play to use that the whole time at 15 minutes. The snare drums, the flutes, all coming together, the finesse of it all, slowly building the bombardment of blow-ups. We're going from the smoothness, the elegance of the ships coming in as the battle drums break in. The lopsided numbers of casualties are so high you wouldn't even be able to conceive it. It's true madness in the storm of a war which we can only see from the eye. Can you hear it? Eventually turning into pure chaos. And from a director who was once quoted as saying he may have accidentally started the trend in anime of lavish destruction, just because that's the kind of thing he's into. Noboru Ishiguro is the name, a man who's directed more sci-fi anime in this period than most. In fact, he may have defined the genre. Is at home in the sci-fi war landscape, a man who's worked on Macross and Yamato. He gets it, and he is a master of this. It seems like no one else would be more qualified to do it, and of course he did the whole series after this. So what more can I say? It's like a master craftsman with a master material, and generally, I think it's just a good old time for something about war and destruction. I think I'm sold. I'm sold. It happened. These are some ballsy battle strats. I could get behind this for 100 eps or so. A holy war rarely ends short, if at all. The chips are set, and I'll be cashing them in, I guess. Like I said, the only place you could probably watch this nowadays is High Dive, unless you want to spend like hundreds of dollars on DVDs that they won't even release in my territory. I guess you could watch the new one, but I don't know. To me, it seems like it kind of misses the point. It's very glossy, and all the ships are CGI, and it seems to be so fast-paced. I kind of like the slow, more methodical pacing, and the style of the 80s era really complements that. It's sort of like fireplace watching. I'm game for it all. All I can say is that if you're like me and you haven't watched the show, this is a pretty good place to start. It's only like 50 minutes. If you like this, you're probably going to like the show. That's at least my assumptions. But if you don't like this, then I guess you don't have to waste your time. Anyway, that's all I got to say today. Just keep it simple, right? Thank you to my patrons, including Joven. If you'd like to support the series, you know where to go. And I will catch you another day as we go into the next decade of anime soon enough.